Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking about UFC fighters who have overcome drug addictions. These are fighters who geek the hardest at the functions that they used to frequent. They were, the highest in the room. I think that taking drugs and then cleaning your life up is one of the best bases for MMA, other than, steroid use or maybe wrestling. These are fighters who I respect for breaking free from the grips of addiction and then getting wrist locks on that mug, They really do their things. We're going to be talking about it. This isn't meant to be funny or me airing out dirty laundry. This is all public record from media interviews, and I'm celebrating the fact that these fighters were not lost to whatever they were addicted to. These are good stories to tell, and they need to be told. So I'm going to do some journalism right now and tell these stories. So let's get into the list. The first pick is going to be Terrence McKinney. And I just reached out to this guy on Instagram and congratulated him for getting re-signed to the UFC. He never goes to decisions, and I'm very glad the promotion kept him, even though he's unfortunately been losing a bit lately. So, he does have a 7-second knockout over Matt Favola and other explosive finishes. I think he's super cool. So, apparently in 2015, he got higher than a Georgia pine on weed, shrooms, LSD, and was drinking to the point where he jumped through a window and, cut his arm or something. And then was tased by the cops before being arrested. And in the police report, it said that he said, "I'm so powerful," before they pulled out the taser and zapped him with it. I guess he was a collegiate wrestler, and he was ranked number 1. He's a dog, dude. And I guess this blew his shot of competing in the Olympics. But he still came back around and made a successful career of himself, for himself in MMA, And that, he'll be remembered more, I think, here, opposed to even if he went to the Olympics and won a medal, dude, because nobody remembers those guys. If you fight in the UFC for a little bit, he's the dude with the 7-second knockout over Matt Favola. Totally worth it, honestly. He said that he got his wisdom teeth extracted and now he can take punches better. So I'm excited that he didn't crash out completely to the point where he couldn't be because he said that he had died 2 times on the way to the hospital in the back of the ambulance. So I'm very grateful for the fact that wasn't the end of Terrence McKinney, because that's my boy. I really am excited to see him get back in there and fight. I want to see him lay some people out. So that's a guy who I'm very proud of for coming back from that really scary experience. Another guy that we're going to talk about is Jared Gordon. So this is a crazy case because we were discussing, just party substances before. This is a guy who was actually involved in heroin, bro. And he was using the needle and prescription opiates as well. And he was overdosing and losing his friends to addiction and feeding it by fighting and getting hurt. And he would go and get prescriptions for his injuries, broken orbitals and stuff. He'd be getting opiates from the doctor and abusing them and then training MMA and fighting. And this cycle of it's crazy how he was able to maintain this. It's insane that you're actually able to have a pro MMA career and be a user of that substance, because from what I understand, it really just does dominate your life, dude. So it's also insane to think about the amount of willpower that he had to not lose himself in the vice. And I can imagine that he still wants that lifestyle, but he seems to want the lifestyle of a fighter a lot more, and I tip my hat to him a lot. I respect it a lot. So Jared Gordon is another mention. The guy that we're going to talk about next is going to be Khalil Roundtree. His vice was nicotine, I guess. He said that he used to weigh a lot back in the day. Food too, I guess, but I don't want to split hairs, He traveled with a metal band, and he used to chain smoke cigarettes, and he was heavy as well, so this was very not good for him. And he got into Muay Thai as a way to change his life, and he recollects this experience of he had chest pains, and it was related to cigarette smoking. And he described his heart palpitations and his lungs being messed up as a turning point in his life that led him to stop touring with the band and pursue combat sports and training. And this is a cool story, I think. This is a really nasty one though, because nicotine and smoking, it's a really difficult habit to break, and once it sets in, I admire his ability to corner his impulses and pursue this hobby that he ended up being very good at. I very much respect his willpower and conviction to get in shape too, and develop cardio as someone who used to smoke like darts, dude. So good for that guy, man. Real stuff. The next fighter that I want to talk about is going to be Eric Anders. And this is going to be another geek boy, man. He probably developed his habits while playing football, since those athletes really like drugs for some reason. American football, and I'm not sure if you guys are international, but the gridiron football dudes, you guys really like to, you know, y'all like to party, man. I respect it too. It's all same, different strokes for different folks. But in his latest media interviews, Eric Anders is opening up about his sobriety, saying that he's no longer taking party drugs, you know, such as MDMA or fish scale. I don't want to say anything that's, we're already like, no, we're not even monetized. It doesn't even matter. But I don't want to like get into the habit of swearing, so whenever it does happen, I like change the content, you know. So if that makes sense, I would be swearing a lot more, but I don't want to just all of a sudden just stop swearing or have to train myself to not do something that I was normally doing before just for money. It doesn't, I'm gonna probably just cut this out, it's okay. Anyways, whatever he was abusing though, he wasn't able to see his children, so getting clean allowed him to gain custody of his son, I guess. And that actually makes sense, because as a light heavyweight, his cardio looked like he drank beer and did Molly, dude. So seeing that he actually is trying to make a positive change in his life now for the betterment of himself and his family is inspiring, and I'm rooting for his sobriety, man. So even though I picked Weidman to win a decision over him at UFC 310, oh well. That's going to take us on to the next fighter in the list. It's going to be Lauren Murphy. So this is one of my top 5 women fighters, just because she's so damn mean and vicious, and with the grappling offense, and she's down to strike with anyone, even girls who are better than her in the stand-up. She'll still try it. I respect it. But her background is growing up in Alaska in the middle of nowhere. She falls into drugs and drinking and smoking cigarettes at 14, and has a baby at 17, and then lives out her addiction until like 26 rather. And she takes up jiu-jitsu at a certain point and starts training MMA, and then takes a pro fight only 4 months into training, and then smokes this girl in 17 seconds. Super believable story. And she told her friends that she only wanted to fight because she wanted to understand if she had what it takes to get in like a real fight. So her next fight was that she had won via round 2 something, TKO, armbar, whatever. And then she said that she was about to call it a career, and then that promotion's champion comes in the cage and calls her out. And then she starts taking fighting really seriously after that. And before, she said at one point she would like go to the gym to get skinny or whatever while she was still using all of like these different substances. And she would be like, oh, I just want to smoke a cigarette. And she'd smoke a cigarette outside and then go inside and run on the treadmill and be like, yeah, I want to smoke a cig right now. And then as soon as she would get off of the treadmill, she would like go and have the cigarette or whatever. And she gave all that up in order to train for this fight. And she said that she beat that girl up the worst that she has ever beaten up anyone, like even like to that point in her career. And that's super inspiring, because she put in work for her son, you know, and she committed herself to fighting in order to take care of her family. And she dropped out probably to raise him, because she's also mentioned that she dropped out of high school. So that's super inspiring, and I got really inspired reading her story. So thank you, Lauren Murphy, for reminding us all to never give up on ourselves, especially whenever people are depending on us too. So that's a very good story of overcoming hardship. The last guy that I want to talk about is Alex Pereira, man. He's one of the greatest champions of all time, and a candidate of the good guy of the century award, man. Even though we don't even understand what he's saying, unless Plino Cruz translates it for us. But before taking up fighting, Alex worked in a tire shop, and he drank himself under the table every night. He was fighting as a way to get sober, and he stayed sober to be able to be a good dad to his sons and provide for them. And it really makes it sweet that he overcame this addiction, because Izzy remembered Alex as an alcoholic and would speak of him as if he would just be, you know, a guy in a bar somewhere who had said, I beat him one time in kickboxing, because he was known for being a drunk. So Alex took that personal, man. And Izzy thought that he wouldn't have to fight Alex because the addiction was going to keep him away from MMA. But Alex got clean, bro, and he chased Izzy down in his own sport. And I'd not be critical of Alex Pereira for having a drink every so often, like after he wins at this point, you know, but he just doesn't do it. You'll never see a video of Alex Pereira drinking alcohol. And sometimes after his fight, he'll appear in videos like he's like completely plastered, but I've never seen videos of him actually drinking alcohol, so I really wouldn't know if he was or not. So that's very cool that he was able to slay that dragon. This is a cool video to make, honestly. All these fighters deserve a lot of respect, and actually hearing their stories and reading about what they overcame in their first fights and stuff, that was a really cool experience. So I really like these types of videos. Thank you for sticking around if you made it to this point. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.